All right. I am excited. This is going to be a good day. All right, let me make sure that we're live. Let me go to Twitch. If you're watching now or in the future, welcome to 5 Live Free Code School. Check the channel. All right, here we are. Okay, cool. All right, so the homework last week was all about reading this really famous blog post about a pretty successful pattern for using GitHub, or really any source control provider, for using Git to manage your work. Did both of you get through that?
I read through it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sudesh? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So first thing, I just want to, I'm going to pull it up, okay, and then I want to see if you guys have any questions. Here comes Jonas. I'll be pulling that up while you, while he comes on. And then I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll look at this post. Hey, Jonas, you're on. Jonas, how are you? Hi.
Hi. Good evening.
Welcome.
Everyone.
All right,
Thank you.
we're just getting started, and just want to ask, were you able to get through reading this article, Jonas?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good, excellent. So first thing, I just want to open it up. You might have any questions, any parts of this that were like, I don't understand this, I want some clarification. You might want to ask about anything on here on this. Okay. Well, what I want to do is further examine this article and the type of workflow that it proposes by actually working through, for real, on our repository out on GitHub, a similar system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this off to the side, and then see if I can make this be 50% right here. And then over here, I will get our GitHub repo. And what did we call this? Repositories. What do we call our repo? Ah, was it First Express app?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Excellent. All right. So let's start talking about this. I think I need to enlarge this to see a little more detail. Yeah, here's all of our code. And right now, here's the state that this repository is in. There's only one branch. It's the main branch. In GitHub, at least, and it's a very similar user interface in lots of these online source control management platforms. There's usually a drop down that will let you look at or work with the different branches you have. So I want to be able to have these two things side by side. Let me see if I can actually accomplish that. Take this and move it over to the side here. I think I'm going to have to enlarge this one. Okay, good. Now we can see our details. So if we look on the left here, what's described here is a structure, and of course where it says master, we're using main, but it's a structure where master is used as for a very important purpose. Now, what I'm going to describe to you here is one way to manage your different source control versions. It's not the only way, but it's a very common way. The description in this article is used in a lot of different companies. There might be nuances to it, but it's used in a lot of different places, okay? Some of the principles that it uses are almost universal at this point. And this first one is a pretty near universal concept. And what it is that when we as a development team are working with all these different branches that we can create, you see a main branch, hotfix branches, We have release branches, develop is a branch, some feature branches. When we're working with all these various different branches over time, one of the responsibilities that we as a development team have to our company is to make sure that at all times, without exception, there's at least one branch in all of these different versions, all these different branches, there's at least one branch that is in such a state of code quality that is capable of being compiled and turned into a running deployed program if we want to do that. There's a few different ways of phrasing this principle, but the basic concept comes down to always be deployable. What that means is some of your other branches don't always need to be in that state. You can have them broken, if you will. Syntax errors, features not working, doesn't build, all kinds of problems. Now, obviously, depending upon the branch in question, that's not what you want as a usual state of affairs. But the point is that in all other branches besides this primary branch that we're talking about, it's okay if for a brief moment in time, there's something wrong with the branch. But amongst all that, as a team, we can never let a situation develop where we don't at least have one branch that's capable, like I said, of being compiled and turned into an actual running program somewhere and deployed. There's a lot of reasons for that, but that's the first concept I wanted to cover here. Now, for a lot of development teams, they choose the main branch for that. And that's the pattern that's laid out here. This main branch should always be deployable. Any questions about that concept? All right, well, we have one of those in our repository. It's our main branch. Now, let's look at the other branches, the other branch here that's bold. The bold branch, there's only bold branches, there's only ever one of them. You don't have multiple of these. Let's make ourselves this develop branch, and then we'll talk about what it's for. Because you can see that the develop branch comes from, it derives from the main branch. So we're going to create a branch here called develop. Now you all have access to this repository, and so you'll be able to log on and see the changes I'm making. And there's some Git commands that can pull those changes down. Don't do any of those Git commands in the background yet. But if I make a develop branch, notice that as I typed, this little part of the dialogue here started changing, and it keeps track with what I'm typing, and it becomes a hyperlink. Now, again, the user interface is different between the different source control management providers like GitHub or GitLab and Azure DevOps. There's a lot of companies that are doing this type of service. But on here, this becomes a link. And I click on it, and suddenly I both have another branch called develop, and I switch to focusing on that branch, at least out here in GitHub. My local copy of the repository is not in sync right now. It doesn't know there's a develop branch. So a couple things to notice that are informative on this screen on the right. Notice this little message right here that says this branch is up to date with main, the main branch. This is where it came from. And at least the way GitHub operates, the main branch is the most important branch. And you will constantly see references to where the different branches we create stand relative to the main branch. Any questions so far? All right. Now, before I have you guys sync up and pull this similar structure down to your own machines, let's talk about what the develop branch's purpose is for. As you can see, it's in bold. And so it's a long running, like consistent, never goes away branch. From reading through the article, can any of you take a crack at explaining the basic purpose of this particular branch?
It's like the branch that you will be doing most of your like development work on, but also like you're branching off of it for a lot of that development work and then merging back into it.
Good, absolutely. It's the source that you'll look to when you want to do development work. That development work is done over here. You know, Alexander was totally right. These feature branches you'll create, notice they're not in bold. There can be multiple of them. You can even see multiple of them here. And each of them is spun off of the development branch. So when one of these feature branches comes into existence, before you do anything with that copy of the code, with that version, it's exactly the same as the develop branch. They're in sync momentarily. And then she's right, you do your work. Here's a commit, here's a commit, here's a final commit, all in this branch. And then when you're done doing your work, you merge those changes back into the develop branch. So that was a good description, Alexandra. Okay. Well, we have one of these. Let's have you guys sync up. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to go here to VS Code. And here's my first Express app. I'm going to update Visual Studio Code. It doesn't take very long. Least notes, title bar fold, search multi-select, tree view. Oh, interesting. Okay, fine. Close. Close. All right. So now let's get our terminal back. So remember, we all each have our own repository now, and it's important to remember that when you're doing these Git commands, when you're working with Git, the point of view of the command you're about to enter. Right now, in this first Express app folder is a .git folder. It means I am in a Git repository. The Git repository that I'm in has been configured such that it considers this repository out on GitHub to be a remote repository. It's connected to it. So I can do what's called a git pull, and I can pull from a remote repository, pull down any changes. What's the name of the remote repository as far as this repository is concerned?
First, -express app.
That's the name of the repository itself, of the repo out on GitHub. But we assigned it an alias. When we created this remote connection from my machine to the remote repository, we assigned that connection an alias from the point of view of this local repository we're in. We gave it a name. We can even say Git origin remotes or Git origin remote, I think. Yeah, that's the name of the remote connection. Now, yes, you're right, Jonas. The repository it's pointing to is 100% this one, which is First Express app. But instead of having to use this full entire URL, whenever we want to refer to it, this URL right here, we don't have to use that full URL. We can just use the name origin. Any questions about that? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's get back to what we're wanting to do. When I say git pull, I'm going to pull changes down from a specific repository. It's a remote repository, so I can just use its alias. If I do that, oh, it says I'm up to date. Really? Do I need to specify the branch? Huh. I wonder if I did something wrong. Give me just a moment. Every once in a while, like 5 or 10 times a day, I end up being wrong. So. Am I in the right repo? Let me check something out here. If I click on this little dialog at the bottom, there's a little button here about branches. It'll show me the available branches. So local, I have the main branch. Issue 50. Oh, that doesn't look correct. Oh, this is totally the wrong. I'm in the wrong place. Hold on just a moment. Web config, git ignore, requests. I'm going to close this. Something seems to be wrong with my VS Code. I apologize. I was doing some other work during the week. All right, first Express app. Let's let it spin up. I'm on main. Let me check my Git status. I'm on main. I'm up to date. You have origin. Huh. All right, well, I can test something. If I am in fact up to date, I should now have a branch in my local repository called develop. I can move to that branch by using a command called checkout. It did sync up. All right, I'm actually very curious about something. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Go to Zoom. Jonas, do me a favor. Can you share your screen, please?
Okay.
By the way, congratulations on completing your degree, Jonas.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very well done.
Okay. By the way, here is what I am doing. I brought the folder from my file explorer.
Mm-hmm.
By going like here, file, open folder.
Yep.
And I created a repository just before minutes.
Oh, you made your own
Express app. Yeah.
Okay, that's that isn't what I want. I wanted you to clone mine. Do me a favor. Go to your file explorer, Windows File Explorer,
Okay.
and show me your. Where do you put all of your repositories?
I put them in this one in
GitHub
a
folder.
folder.
Okay, good. All right.
GitHub folder.
All right. So this thing called First Express app, that folder right there, that's what you're talking about, where you made your own repository out on GitHub, right?
Yes.
Good. Delete that folder entirely. Just kill it. You're going to have to close Visual Studio Code, I believe.
Yes.
Close VS Code totally. I mean, just to be sure. It won't hurt to close VS Code. It's super easy to start up again. All right, good. Now try to delete that folder. Good. Okay. Now open up
Let me
VS
check
Code.
this one.
No, don't just ignore that. Ignore that.
Okay.
What I want you to have, and I just want to clarify exactly what I'm doing. You see that first Express app folder that's there?
Yes.
Okay.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah. In a real development situation, you wouldn't actually have that. I
They
had
are
you
very
all
similar
follow.
names.
What?
And then I shouldn't have used similar names to name.
Oh, no.
Two
I told you to do
folders.
everything. I told you all this. What I want to clarify is that a couple classes ago, as I was pretending to be the lead developer and laying down the skeleton application for our project, I had you all follow along on your local machines, not because that's how you'd normally do it. You wouldn't. But just because I wanted you to actually get some experience working with Node, working with Express. The fact is, from that point forward, we're just going to ignore that folder called First Express app. That was just a little training exercise. What we're doing now is we're saying, okay, as the lead developer, I made the skeleton application. I made a repository for the team out on GitHub. I added you all as contributors to that repository. And now what I need every team member to do is to clone that repository, including its history, down onto their local machine. And that's what I'll have you do right now. So go and go back to Visual Studio Code. And I want you to open up that GitHub folder.
This one?
No, just the GitHub folder.
Okay. This one?
No, just the GitHub folder.
Okay, the whole GitHub folder?
Yep.
Okay. It contains so many folders
I don't
that
I'll deal with it. And I know, probably slow down your computer. This is how you'd have to do it.
okay.
So yeah, this might take a little while.
It's
Because
all
Visual
the
Studio Code
projects
is going to
that
be
we
scanning
did.
through all that stuff, right?
Mm.
It's fine. It's totally okay. This is how you would have to do it. I mean, we don't
It
need
contains all the projects that we have been doing in Five Live
Yeah.
School.
Yeah, totally. I fully expect them to all be there. That's fine. We're not going to stay with this as the open folder, but you need to create a clone that's in this GitHub directory. So down there at the terminal, type git clone. Now, don't type anything. Go out to your web browser and find my GitHub account. Kairos.org first. Yeah, there it is. Go down. Yeah. And now on the green code button, click on that to get the URL for this repository. Copy that. And now paste that in. Okay, hit enter. The way you had it before, when I first had you share your screen, you had a whole separate code base and application was not tied into the team. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's fine. All right, good. All right, that's as far as I want you to go. Okay. Now I will say CD down into that directory, First Express app. Good. Now open up Visual Studio Code right there by doing code space dot. Now you can close that other code if you want to. We don't need that.
Okay.
We basically just needed it for the terminal. exit. No. You want to exit. You want to close the actual instance. You have to wait a minute. Busy. Good. Now try it again. Yeah, close this whole instance. There you go. Awesome. Okay, good. So now you are set up where in Visual Studio Code right now, you have open the cloned repository, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Awesome. That's as far as I want you to go. You have the develop branch for sure because you just cloned with the current state of the repository. So go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay.
Alexandra, can you share your screen?
Yeah, 1 second.
Now you haven't done a git pull or anything, have you?
No.
Okay. All right, give me a git status. Oh, it's right there. Okay, good. Just, yeah, do a git checkout develop. See if you can check out the develop branch. Okay, good. See, that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't expect it to be. So now do a git pull origin. Ooh. Okay, good. Yeah, that's the message I expected to see. I might be doing something wrong on my end. So from the repository at github.com/kairos/first-express-app, the change that you pulled down is if there's in fact a new branch called to develop. Now, I want to explain that second line that begins with an asterisk. Everybody pay attention to this. That second line is detailing a specific change that you pulled down to your local repository from the remote repository. The change you pulled down has a category. It is new branch. That's the type of change that got pulled down. The next part where it says develop and then an arrow and then origin/develop, that is pointing out that you now have a local branch called develop. That's what's on the left of the arrow. That is pointing to or tied to the develop branch out on quote unquote origin. Remember that origin is the name that we happened to assign to the remote repository. Any questions on that concept? All right, cool. Sudesh, can you do the same thing? Do a git pull origin, and I want you to tell me if you get the same message that we're all seeing on Alexandra's machine.
I get error.
Okay. First of all, are you in the First Express app folder?
Yes.
Good. What is the error?
Fatal, not a Git repository or any of the parent directories. .git.
Okay. Go ahead and stop sharing, if you would, Alexandra. And go and share your screen, Sudesh. All right, so I just want to point something out. I asked if you were in the same directory, First Express app, right? You said yes.
Yeah.
That's not the same name. The folder that Alexandra's in and that I'm in and that Jonas is in is first-express-app. You're in the wrong folder. What this is is the folder where you guys were following along, just creating an Express app. It's not the one that is the repository that we want to work in. It's not the repository that you cloned from my GitHub repository. So yes, move up CD ... to move up. Now CD down into first dash express dash app. Good. Now you're in the repository that we're all using. Do you understand the difference? If you don't, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Go slow. Please let me run you. Okay. So give me a Git status. All right. Good. You're on main. You're up to date with the origins main branch. Try to check out the develop branch. Git checkout. And then space develop. No, Git checkout develop. Yep. You're trying to see if you have that branch locally. Okay, good. Now that's what I expected. Give me a Git pull origin to pull down the changes. Good job. Excellent. All right. Okay. Now let me go ahead and stop sharing, and I am going to figure out why I didn't see that. You know what it is? Because I'm an idiot and I'm in the wrong folder. Just like I said, Sudesh was. So, sorry, Sudesh. Move up. Oh. That's funny. I didn't change the name. I kept it the way it was for our exercise, and I changed it out on GitHub. That's not a smart decision because it isn't consistent. Let me see if I can change that. I'm going to close VS Code. And I'm going to, if I screw something up, we'll fix it. So does anybody not follow the error I made? Anybody not sure what I'm talking about? Okay. All right. Now, it's still odd to me that I actually have the develop branch down here. But I do. All right. It worked the way I expected for you guys. Don't know why it worked for different for me. I will research that later. Now, let's get back to this article, though. Right now, we all are in sync with the remote branch. If we go back to this little article, we now have a branch that we can use to develop features off of. Now, we're going to go through these next steps slowly. I don't want to rush any part of it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a feature branch that I will, quote unquote, do some feature work on. And then I will merge that branch back into develop. Then I'll control each of you doing the same thing, but I'm going to precisely control the order to simulate what happens in the real world for development. So from now on, we're going to be working feature branches over here. Recall that the feature branches will come from the develop branch. And the develop branch in turn came from the master branch. We'll return to this diagram over and over again. So let's say I want to do some work. Let's go to our code base and figure out some really justifiable work. We're just going to pretend that I'm going to do something valuable. If I look in here and I go to, say, the public folder, let's see, our views. I'm going to go to views. I have index. When I render this, it renders welcome to title. Let me run it locally and just be sure of what I'm doing. npm start. All right, so my application is running. Now, let me pull up a browser. You might remember the URL to hit my application.
Localhost 3000, I think it was.
Yep. Good. Welcome to Express. All right. Now, see, title. So it says Express and then welcome to Express. Those are variables. I think I want to make it say something different. So I need to search around a little bit and figure out, where does it get this? This is a variable. Clearly, it's a variable. Right here and right here. Let's see if we can find where it defines those variables. I haven't used Jade before, so this will be fun. Let's see. Right there, look at that. So I go from app.js. App.js sets up the view engine. Here's our path to our views. Remember, views are just templates. It sets up the view engine is this library called Jade. It has a router that we can use. Another router we can use if we want to look at users. So I look at index router. And this is where it says if I do a get, and this is what I'm doing a get, that it's going to render a view called index. Well, look, here's a view called index, and it's going to pass in a variable called title with the value express. So let's change this to 5 live customer service rep application. Huh, okay, I like that. Now, I think this might change on the fly if I give a refresh. Or I might have to stop the server. Yeah, I think I have to stop the server. Let's try that. Control C. I'm just testing something. I'm not going to do my work here, so I'm going to have to revert this. In fact, that was a really stupid idea. Okay, I'm going to reverse everything I just did. Control Z. All right. So I just wanted to figure out if it was in the right place. So here I am, and my job is to change the title. So if we go back to this diagram, I don't want to do this work in the develop branch. I want to create a feature branch for it. So the most common pattern is to make the feature branch out on the GitHub repository. to initiate change for your project out on the GitHub repository and to pull that change down locally. So I'm about to do that. Do not follow along and do the same thing. You're just watching me develop. So I'm going to go out to GitHub. You're all going to have a chance to do this yourself. Enlarge this. I want to make sure that I'm creating my feature branch from the correct branch. Now, it's very common when you're a rookie, and frankly, common even for experienced developers, to not pay close attention to what branch they're starting from when they make new branches. For example, if I log out of GitHub and come back, it's very likely that I'll be on the main branch. That is not where I want to create my feature branch from. I want to create my feature branch, not from the main branch over here, but from the develop branch. So when you're about to create a branch, and you will even do this as an entry-level developer in a lot of shops. Let me get this warning out of the way. Make sure you're on the correct branch. What we're dealing with here is a subject called branching strategy. It's also called GitHub or Git Workflow. And there's lots of approaches. The one laid out in the article I had you all read is just a very common one. So I need a feature branch. Let's go here, find or create branch. I'm going to call this feature / new _ title, or sorry, new dash title. I like that. Make it a dash, Eric. And then this has become create branch feature new title from develop. I do that, and now it exists, but remember, it exists out here. Now, I need to pull that down locally to do my work on my local box. So git pull origin. And it pulls down this new branch. It creates a branch locally called feature / new title that's pointing to the feature / new title branch out on the origin repository. Any questions so far? Okay, now I'm ready to do my work. However, my code editor, VS Code, is still pointing, you can see it down here on the bottom left, it's still pointing to the develop branch. That's not where I want to do my work. So I need to check out the correct branch. Now, you can cheat by clicking on this and typing out the name of the branch. I want you to learn how to do this from the command line. So I'm going to check out this new branch. Now watch in the bottom left where this changes when I hit enter. So the program Git told me, hey, we switched to a new branch called feature / new title. It also reminds you that this branch is set up to track this remote branch that's out on the origin repo. All right, good. Now I'm doing my work in the right place. All right, now I'm going to change my title. Let's see, 5 live customer service rep application. All right, let me test this locally and see whether this works, whether I like my work. All right, this is running. I should be able to go right here, go to my local host. Okay, good. All right, I'm done with my feature work. I know that was a whole lot of work. Now, let's look at this pattern here and see what I do. Now, this feature branch it's referring to here is out on the remote repository. I'm working locally, so I have to get the changes I made out to the remote repository before I can take the feature branch and merge it back into develop. So let me do that. Let me stop the application, Control C. I need to stage my changes, git add dot. And then I need to do a commit. Change title. And now I need to push this current branch out to the corresponding remote branch. Git push origin, push out at the remote repository. The name of the branch I want to push to is feature / new - title. Now, if we go out here right now, the remote repository, we're on this. If we find this exact file, I think it's in views. No, it's in routes. Routes, index. There it is. Look at the current state of this file. That's what's out on the remote repository right now. I'm going to push my changes. Hit enter. All right, so from right here down are all the messages. Enumerating objects, counting them, compressing the delta, the differences. Compressing, writing out on the remote. I resolve the deltas. And look, there's a commit. In my local feature new title branch and the remote feature new title branch, I've got these two commits. Now notice this. You should look very closely at some details. Remember when I did my commit locally and it gave me a unique identifier, 644291E. When I made my push to remote, you see that 64429E? That's saying that out on the remote repository, there is its own commit, 79A37AD, that corresponds to mine. Let's go look at that out on the remote repository. If I refresh this, first of all, look at that. I now have the updated code. If I go to the top level of my code, and it says here, history for 2 commits. If I click on it, here's my commits. Here's the built skeleton. We already knew about that one from 5 days ago. This is the commit I just made. And it shows you the commit history or the commit ID. We can click on it and have details. And it shows me on the left what it used to be. And on the right, what the change was. It's kind of useful information, right? Let's go look at some other cool features. If I go back here to code, notice that GitHub is being very friendly and is telling us some cool things. Right here in yellow is this really neat sort of pop-up that says, hey, the branch called feature / new title had recent pushes just 2 minutes ago. Oh, good, okay. Well, I'm on the main branch now. Let me go look at that branch, my feature branch. I want you to look at something real important right up in this area of the screen. When I switch to feature / new title, look at this little message right here. It says this branch, this feature / new title branch, is 1 commit ahead of main. Let's look at our diagram. Here's main. When we created the develop branch, we made no changes to the develop branch. We didn't make any commits, so it's still current with main. When I made my feature branch, before I made changes, it was still current with main. Well, I just made a change. I made a click. There's a commit. Now I'm not current with main. And GitHub is friendly enough to tell me that. That's what this little information means. You can even click on it and it'll show you. It's comparing changes. It's saying, if I look at main and I look at this branch called feature new title, I have a difference. There's a commit here. Also, really valuable data. But we don't care. We don't care about the relationship between feature new title branch and main. Why don't we care? Look at this diagram and tell me if you can figure out why we don't care that there's a difference between our feature branch and our main branch.
Because feature branch is underdeveloped. Right?
Yeah, because the feature branch originated with develop and will only ever return to the develop branch. We're never going to go from a feature branch and merge the changes that we made in it straight into main. We're never going to do that. I want to repeat, you're never going to do that. Don't ever do that. Like, never do that. As we're going to see as we work through this whole system here, there's a reason, a purpose behind each one of these branches. Now, there's a lot of nuance to the reasons, but don't ever forget the primary reason. We want to maintain at least one branch that's always capable of being compiled and deployed as a working version of our application. So think of everything to the left of this main branch as having levels of protection for the main branch. All the processes that we're going to go over in this and other classes about managing all these branches, almost all of them are there to protect this main branch and make sure that if you actually put code changes in that branch, that they're very, very safe changes. So that's why we don't care. That was really excellent, Sudesh. All right, but we do care about how far we are from develop. So let's look at that. What's really nice is that GitHub gives us this cool tool. I don't want to compare from feature new title over into main. Drop down here and choose develop. It says, oh, okay, well, here's the differences. Only difference is one commit. And this commit happened on feature new title, and that's the difference between it and the develop branch. Now stop me at any point if any of this is going past you. All right, good. Then let's pretend I'm done with my work. That was all I wanted to do. I just want to change the title. Go back to this little flow diagram. I have been working along on my commit, my feature branch here, and I'm ready to merge my changes into develop. I'm going to do that. Now, I do that via a mechanism called a pull request. Can anybody describe in basic terms what a pull request is? What they think it is based on their own study and experience?
I think it's asking permission to merge into an important branch.
Yeah, asking permission to merge some code. That's a really good way to look at it. Now, there's an aspect of the name of it that ends up being kind of important. You're asking for a review of your code and then approval of a merge, to be sure. But you're also asking for the person who's approving that code to actually pull the changes that you made down onto their local machine and check them out locally, run any kind of tests, run the program as part of approving your merge. Now, We're going to expand on that in a little while when you guys go through the same thing I just did. I'll show you that. But for right now, we're just going to make our first pull request. We're going to say Eric's work is done. Well, I happen to be the lead developer, so I'm just going to approve my own pull request. Maybe that's okay, maybe it isn't, but I'm going to do it. So let's go back to code and over here to pull requests. Now, this is another area where it's very, very easy to make mistakes. So go slow. You can't go too slow in this. Click on pull requests. Welcome to pull requests. Pull requests help you collaborate on code with other people. As pull requests are created, they'll appear here in a searchable and filterable list. Now, this is just something that GitHub does for us. It's not part of the computer program Git. It's part of this web application that we're using right now called GitHub. So we want to create a pull request. So here it is, new pull request. This screen is where people make the most mistakes. And it's in this little dialogue right here that people make the most mistakes. On the left, sorry, he says, people make mistakes. On the right is the branch you want to move from, and here on the left is the branch you want to move to. In other words, on the right is your work. On the left is where you want to move your work to. So, looking at this diagram, what do I want on the right and what do I want on the left?
Feature branch on the right and then develop on the left.
All right, feature branch on the right. And then develop branch on the left. That's exactly right. One of the most common mistakes people make is they keep this on main. And if it doesn't get caught, then we bypass this whole system that's designed to protect the main branch, and we move our change straight from feature right into master. We don't have any testing, nothing. This release branch is there for a reason. Develop branch is there for a reason, and we bypass all of it into main. So you were totally right. So let me expand this now. So let's look at what's on this screen here. It says comparing changes. Choose two branches to see what's changed or to start a new pull request. So I'm comparing from my work in the feature branch into the develop branch. Now, GitHub has done a little bit of a check behind the scenes. You see where it says able to merge? These branches can be automatically merged. That means that GitHub has actually already done a scan of both of these branches and made sure there aren't going to be any conflicts in the merge. That's kind of it. That's nice. It shows details on the work from the right branch that I want to merge into the left. Now, at this point, we've seen these details several times. There's only one commit. This little circle with the line is the symbol for a commit. This is the commit. It's called change title. Here's additions and deletions. On the left is what it was, and on the right is what it became. It shows you the file where we did the change. All the data is here. Now, this, I'm the developer right now. This is what I want to get approved for merge. So I'm going to create a pull request. And put in here, updated title for 5 Live branding. Now, at least in GitHub and in many of the other source control management providers, these comments on a pull request are stored permanently and they're readable in reverse chronological order. So you can just keep track of what happened. All right. I'm ready. I'm going to create the pull request. I'm not going to assign it to anybody. We'll get into that kind of nuance later. All right. Now, let's pretend I'm somebody else. Let's pretend I'm a boss. Here I am. I'm being the boss. Oh, hey, we got a new pull request. Let me look at that. Pull request. Oh, man. Okay, so Eric submitted a pull request just under a minute ago. Let me click on that and see what's going on. All right, so the pull request is called change title. It says that Eric wants to merge one commit into the develop branch from his feature branch. Okay. This is where I would pay close attention and make sure that the correct branches got chosen. But in a hurry, mistakes get made. So pay very close attention. Now, you see these different tabs down here. There's the conversation about the commit, the pull request. There's the actual work included in the pull request. Right now is only one commit. And we've seen it about 1 million times. We'll get into checks and file changes and everything later on. But here it is. Remember, I'm being someone else. I'm being Jane, like Eric's boss or whatever, right? And she says, all right, so on this pull request called change title, Eric made a comment, updated title for 5 Live branding. Well, let me look at his work. Let me look at this. So what did he do? Oh, it said express. Now he changed it to 5 Live. Okay. All right. Now, ideally, what Jane would do right now is she would go to her own copy of the repository locally. And she would open up and she would do a git pull origin, and she'd pull down the feature branch. Feature / new title. She would get that from right here. Here's the branch. She would want to look at it on her own machine. Now, it's going to tell me I'm up to date. Okay, not a shock. That isn't what it would tell her. She would pull down the new code. And now, for the first time, Jane has Eric's work from this branch on her machine. And I'm going to stress, we have not yet put any of this work into anything other than the feature branch it was created for it. We haven't moved it anywhere else because we're not certain about it. We don't know if we can trust it. So now Jane pulls down this code and she goes, all right, let me test this. Let me see if Eric is being an idiot. You run the program. It's running. All right, let me go ahead and go here and pull up the URL, blah, blah, blah. All right. Huh. All right, well, that's exactly what he was supposed to do. It appears to work great. She might even have some tests that she can run locally. We'll get into testing later on, but she should run everything. Let's say she's like, everything's gorgeous. All right, Eric did a good job. She stops running it locally and she goes back out to GitHub. She says, all right, I like it. I'm going to go here to the conversation tab and I am going to actually merge this. And notice again, these nice little helpful hints from GitHub. It says this branch, i.e. feature new title, has no conflicts with the base branch. In this case, the base branch is where we're going to move things into. So we can automatically perform the merge. All right, I'm going to do it. Click. Really? Confirm. Notice it's 2 steps. You want to make absolutely sure. All right, I did it. Okay. Now let's talk about something else. Look at this little message right here. Pull request successfully merged and closed. So it closed the request. It changed its status to closed. It says you're all set. And it also reminds you that this branch that Eric created can be safely deleted. Every team has a different policy around this. Some of them don't give a crap. Some of them are very, very strict about it. Don't ever delete branches. But most shops want you to delete the branch. And the reason for it is that over the course of development of a computer program, you can have hundreds or even thousands of branches to develop. And many of which will never, ever, ever, ever be used again because you're done with that feature. So they want to get rid of it. I'm going to delete this. Boom, it's gone. Okay, so we just simulated Eric working on a project, on a feature. I'm going to do the same thing with each of you in a bit of a round robin. Only act when I tell you to, because I'm going to have each of you do this in a different order and sequence, okay? First things first, let me go ahead and stop sharing. All right, so let's start with Sudesh. Go ahead and share your screen, Sudesh. All right, so it's the beginning of your workday and you're about to do some work. And you've been told, you get this feature request that people were confused about the term CSR in our title for our application. And we need to be more explicit and have it say customer service rep. So you've been given a task to change the title of our application so that the abbreviation CSR is spelled out. You understand the task?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let me show you how you would go about doing that. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure before you start any work at all that you are in sync with the remote repository. So do another git pull origin. So you pull down some changes there. Got no errors. You can even see that some activity happened on the develop branch. Okay, all right, good. So you're up to date. Awesome. Now, go ahead and look at the diagram in the article. You need a feature branch of your own that you're going to do some work on. And that feature branch is going to come from which branch?
Develop.
Good. Go ahead and go out to GitHub, to that repository. Excellent. All right, so I want you to make a new branch. Go very slowly. Use the same naming convention that I did, where you do feature before the name of it. You were doing it right. That was right.
Yeah.
Yep. Slash. And then
CSR.
no, slash. Same naming convention, feature slash. That's not required. Just before you go on, another thing to pay attention to when you get your first job. find out what the standards are, what the convention, the usual practices are for naming your different branches. Your other developers on your team will super appreciate it. Because you can name them anything, and Git will not stop you. It's really, really nice to have some standards and follow them. So our standard in our team is if a branch is a feature branch, then you do feature / and then some short description of what the feature concerns. How do you think you would characterize this?
The change we are doing, which is the rename CSR.
Yeah, I like that. So make sure you don't have any spaces, but other than that, you should be good. That's a great name. All right, good. Now you're ready to create it. So click on that sentence that says create branch. Right down. Yeah, click on that bad boy. Good job. Okay. All right. Now, that branch, of course, only exists out on the remote repository on GitHub, but you need to do work locally. So go back to Visual Studio Code. You know what's going to make this really, 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 really frustrating? And will probably make you want to kill everybody in the world. You know the code, I want you to stop moving the mouse around, just listen to me. This is super important, Sudesh.
Mm-hmm.
The code that you see on the left. You see that code in the Explorer? It says there's the bin folder, the node modules, public, all that.
Yeah.
That's not your application. Go to the routes. You're on routes index.js, right?
Yeah.
I want you to check out the develop branch. From the terminal. Check out the develop branch. I want you to try to find my changes that I made. Git, check out, develop. Good. You are now on the develop branch. I would like to point out that the index file in the editor is not showing the content from the develop branch. It doesn't show 5 live CSR application, does it?
No.
The reason for that is that your terminal in the bottom part of VS Code is pointing to a different folder than you're displaying in the File Explorer.
Oh,
do you
right.
see that?
Yeah.
Good.
Because I'm not in the right folder.
Yeah. Open up the correct folder. Beautiful. Now, go there. Hot dang. And what branch are you on? You can make that go away. What branch are you on? You don't need to run it from the command line. It shows you on the bottom left of VS Code.
Develop.
Yeah. And that's what you expect to see, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want you to check out the main branch for a second from the command line. Now don't hit enter yet. When you hit enter, what do you expect to happen to the code in the editor above for index.js. Will it change? Hit enter and watch.
Yeah,
It did. Why?
because we haven't committed the change yet.
I haven't merged that change from develop into
Yeah.
main, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So my code editor is looking at a different version of this file. It's a version that's in a different branch. I just want to point out how very real it is that you now have multiple branches of a code base on your computer. The name of the file is the same. It's index.js. The contents are different because they are in different branches. That's all. I know that's like rock dead simple, duh. I just want to reinforce it. All right, so you need to do your work in your feature branch, though. So check out your feature branch. What's the name of it? If you're not sure, just go to, yeah, there you go. And if you're not sure, just look at the out on GitHub, you see the name of it. There's an E at the end of feature.
Rename CSR.
Yep. There's an E at the end of feature. You're missing a letter.
Yeah.
So why don't you think that worked? You spelled it right. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's because I'm in main.
Well, no, you're in main. You're trying to switch. That's what checkout is to switch to a different branch.
Shouldn't I switch through develop?
I don't care if you go to
Right.
develop first. You can jump around however you want. Here's my question. What does the error say?
The
Error.
file name. Yeah.
It doesn't even have that file. You don't have a file like that locally. You don't have that branch locally. Why not? You didn't pull down the changes yet.
Right.
So pull down the changes. Right now, that branch only exists out on the remote repository on GitHub. So do a git pull origin to pull all the changes down from the origin. There's your new branch. Now check it out. There you go. And look at the text change in the editor.
Yeah.
Good. So now you're ready to do your work. So your work is to take the abbreviation CSR and spell it out. So go and do that work. Change the code.
So I do here index.
Yep, absolutely. We're
Yeah.
changing that because we did some testing and we found out that people were confused because they didn't know what CSR stood for. Rep. Yeah, representative. That's good. Excellent. Do representative. Yeah, the full spelling. Awesome. Now test your application. Run it locally. Make sure that you didn't produce any errors or anything. Do an npm start. You misspelled it. It's npm. Ooh. Okay, good. So here's what's going on. We cloned our application, but we didn't install all of our dependent libraries. It says it couldn't find this module called HTTP errors. That's a JavaScript file that we don't have. Why don't we have it? Because we didn't install all of our dependencies. Look at your package.json file. Give us more room.
It
See that-
happened to me.
Yeah, and this isn't even really an error. It's just we forgot to do a step.
Yes.
You cloned the application, but the application, and this is important. This system I'm about to talk about is very common in a lot of programming scenarios. Most computer programs today are built utilizing, in addition to your custom code, many third-party software libraries. They can be a very complicated thing to maintain all the different versions and libraries that are needed. The program called NPM is called Node Package Manager for a reason. It helps manage all these dependencies. Long and short of it is that if you have some custom code and it needs third-party libraries, you can use NPM and trust it to go get the versions of those third-party libraries that will play nice together. And you do that by running a command called npm install. Go ahead and do that right here on your terminal. Do npm install. And it's reaching out and over the internet, downloading a ton of files. There we go. It added 99 different software packages. Don't worry about those. We'll handle that as a separate thing, the critical stuff. But now you should be able to run your program. All right, it should be running. Open up a browser and try to hit the actual computer program on localhost. Yeah, there you go, hit enter.
Yeah.
Good job, awesome, okay, good. Go ahead and go back to VS Code and you can stop the program. You did your work. So hit Control-C, should stop the server. Say yes. Good. Awesome. Now, you want this code changes you made out on the remote repository, out on GitHub. But remember, you're in your own local repository. So first, you have to stage the changes and then commit them. What's the command for staging?
Git add.
Yep.
Git add.
Yeah. So do a git
Git
add.
add.
Yep. And then space and dot. Now, you remember, you have to specify what files you're going to stage. We're going to add, and the dot means anything in the current directory that's new, then stage it. All right, good. Now do a commit to actually take a snapshot and then put an entry into the history. git commit. All right. Now space. No. All right. Dang it. All right. I'll tell you what happened. Do you know what happened?
I didn't specify the file.
You didn't specify the message with your commit. And because you didn't, now I want you to go very slowly from this point forward. Because you didn't, what happens is the terminal, the actual command line says, oh, he needs to enter in a commit message. Let me pop open a little teeny code editor for him. Unfortunately, this code editor is like an old school Unix code editor, and I don't like it, but whatever. So you're going to start typing your commit message because it says, please enter the commit message for your changes. So don't click anywhere, just start typing, and you're going to say spelled out CSR. Let's type that out. What happens when you start typing?
Where do I type?
Just start typing right now.
You mean the customer service representative?
Yeah, just start typing spelled out CSR. You're in a code editor. See? Spelled out. No. Go back. Spelled out, like the actual word spelled. Yeah. Because this is what you did. You spelled out CSR, right?
Yeah.
This is your commit message. Good. And that's CRS. Awesome. Now, give me, hit Control X, I believe. I hate this. Hit enter. I just don't know how this editor works. I hate this editor. Give me a hit S, Control S. Give me Control S for save. Nothing?
It's just type in.
Yeah, I hate this so much. Don't ever forget to do your message. All right, give me a Control C. Will that cancel anything? Can you get you out of here?
I think it's
No.
Control Enter.
Oh, okay. Hit Control Enter. Thank you. Well, that takes you to the next line. I hate this so much. I've just never bothered to look up how this code editor works. And I know there are old school Unix people that are laughing at me right now. I don't care. All right. Close this whole terminal. Like, no. Go so slow. Yeah, click on that. I don't know. I don't think that's going to do it. All right, go up to terminal again at the top. Give me a new terminal. Yeah, it's still got the Git one open. Roll over the word Git on the right. Roll over the trash can icon. Kill it. Thank you. All right. Let's try this again. Do your git commit, but do not hit enter. Space -M space, and now in quotes, do your message. What was it? Spelled out CSR, right?
Yeah.
End quote. All right. Hit enter. Okay, good. All right, now you have now made a commit locally. You've got a little snapshot in your own history to your local repository. You want to push that change out to the remote repository. But remember, you only want to push it to the feature branch out on the remote repository that corresponds to where you are. So do a git push. Don't hit enter until I tell you to. Do a git push space, and you're pushing out to the remote repository. We have an alias for that. What's the alias for a remote repository?
Origin.
Good. Who said that?
Origin.
No, who's, oh, it's you,
Jonas.
Jonas? Okay, good. Let Sudesh answer when I'm working with him.
Sorry.
So yeah, origin is the name of an alias that we use for our remote repository. So type out origin space. And what branch out there are we going to push this to?
Feature.
Good. Give me the name of type out the entire name. And remember, do not hit enter until you're ready, until I tell you to. Type out the name of the branch. Awesome. Hit enter. Okay, good. Now, go ahead and go out to GitHub. And you want to make a pull request to pull this work in, right?
Yeah.
So go to pull requests. New pull request on the right. Now, I want you to set up those two things right there, what you think they should be.
Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Good job.
Okay.
So click on create pull request. All righty. You don't really need a comment on it. It's fine. It's spelled out CSR. It's explanatory enough. Click create pull request. All right. Good. That's it. You're done for right now. Okay. Go ahead and stop sharing. Alexandra, you have been given a task. Go ahead and share your screen. It turns out that our greeting isn't friendly enough. So take a look at the routes. Or sorry, the views. Take a look at the views. And look at the index view. You notice how it says welcome to, and then we put it in the variable title, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to say hello, comma, welcome to, just to be more friendly. So that's your task. Tell me what you think you would do in order to start working through that task.
Would I create a new branch first?
Yes, absolutely. Where?
Like from the develop branch on GitHub.
Good. Excellent. Do that.
Can you still see it?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So. Do I have to click develop first to create a new branch?
You have to select the one you're going to create it from.
Oh, okay. So you do.
Yep.
And then you can create it. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's another feature branch.
Yep.
And then it's
Oh, kind of welcome message.
okay.
Yeah. Good.
create
Yep.
branch?
Create it. All right. Then what would you do?
I would need to pull down the origin so that I have the most up to date.
Yep, including that new branch you just made. Good. Go and do that locally.
Yeah.
Get pull origin. You should see that new branch appear. Yep. And
So-
notice You also got this feature branch from Sudesh's work.
Right.
Good. Now what do you do?
I need to check out the branch that I want to work in.
Yes.
Okay, check out.
Nope.
No.
Well, hit enter. You'll see it won't work.
All right.
That isn't the name of the branch. The name of the
Oh,
branch
it's
is
feature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Switch to the new branch. Okay, good. So now you can trust your Visual Studio works. So the code that you see there is the code in that branch. So go ahead and change that. So it says hello, exclamation point, and then welcome to. There you go. That's it. Run it locally. Make sure that you like it.
Oh, I need to do the npm install, right?
Yep. Jonas, if you haven't done an npm install already, you should.
Yes, I have done it.
Good job. Good. Now try to run it.
I don't remember the.
It's HTTP localhost.
Oh, that's right.
And then
then-
colon.
And :3.
Yeah, colon, and then the port. Yeah. Oh, you've got 2 slashes after. Oh, well, it worked. You figured it out. Hey, good. Hello. That's much more friendly. Okay, good. Excellent. All right. Go ahead and stop the application. Then what do you do?
I want to stage the changes.
Yep.
So get add and then dot. And then the commit message.
Yep.
Yes.
Changed greeting.
Yeah, I like that. Good. And now what?
Make a pull request,
Yep.
which I do from here, right?
Oh, no, not a pull
No?
request.
Oh, okay.
No, these changes are still only on your machine.
Oh, right. You have to push it.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah, but I want to specify the feature branch you want to push it to.
Oh, okay. So sure.
Yeah. Good, no errors. Excellent. Now go and make a pull request. Yeah, looks good.
Do I need to add anything here or just do create
Nah.
pull request? Okay.
This one speaks for itself. You don't
Okay.
always need comments. Okay, good, excellent. All right. Go ahead and stop sharing. Now, Jonas, we'll get to you in a moment, but let's say I came along and I, as the team lead, had been notified of these 2 pull requests. Fact is, I probably was notified. Look at that. See how I got notified? Here's Sudesh's. You can view comment on or merge this pull request online. It'll take me right to it. It even gives me a little detail. This is just a friendly thing that GitHub does. Because I own that repository, and so it's sending out notices to me. Here's the file changes. Pretty cool stuff. All right, good. So let's look out there. Go to pull requests. I got 2 of them. All right. So I want to approve them. Let me look at the oldest one. spelled out CSR. Let me look at what happened. All right, they had CSR and now it's customer service. Oh, I like that. Okay, good. Awesome. All right. Yeah, I think I like this. I could approve this. All right. Now, I'm not going to. I'm not going to because what I want to take up, I think you guys can see the pattern here. I could approve that and it would become part of develop. I could approve the other one, become part of develop, right? What we're going to do first thing on Wednesday is we're actually going to have Jonas come along and be told, hey, we don't need this to be customer service representative. It needs to be just customer service rep. So he'll be making a change to the exact same line. I'm going to try to see if we can get a conflict in here. So we're just going to try to do that and see how to handle it on Wednesday morning. Yeah, we're running up against time. So Jonas, you'll get a chance to do the exact same cycle. I think you followed along pretty well though, right, Jonas?
Yes, I've been following.
Okay, good, excellent. And again, we go slow through these things, but I got to tell you, this pattern of how to be assigned some work, figure out a branch you're going to do the work on, do your work on the correct branch locally, get it complete, push it out to the remote repository, and ask for your work to be merged is something that you're going to do over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it just helps to go through it slowly and just get used to it. Notice it's not software development. It's not logic of a program. It's just the day-to-day business of doing your work as an engineer. And it's super important. Knowing this, being comfortable with it, is one of the key things that will help you fit in almost instantly when you join your first team. Even though it's separate from knowing how to code, it's knowing how to do the day-to-day work of a developer, which is why we're spending the time on it. Anybody have any questions about what we've covered so far today? Knowing we're going to pick it right back up again on Wednesday morning, on Wednesday evening. Anybody have any questions? Okay, all right. The only homework I could think to assign is this. Now that we've done a little bit of this, I recommend reading through like the first third or a half of that article again. Now that you've seen this in practice, now that you've seen us start to create a structure that looks kind of like this and create these branches and create branches off of them and then merge back in. Now that you started to see this happen in real life, I want you to reread about down to, say, here's main, supporting, I like that. And, oh, I like that. Right down to about there. Just read the first, third to a half of this again. Cool?
Yes.
All right, good. Okay. All right, that's it for the evening. Good job. We will see you on Wednesday, and we'll pick up on more GitHub and this whole Git flow pattern of how to do, how to manage your work. Have a great day.
Okay,
Good
thank
night.
you.
Bye.
Thank
all.
you.
Good evening. Good night.